First one of these in like 2 months and already people are trying to break TOS? Wait, what? Oh no. Oh no. Hey, ET in the server, your post had nipples in it. What are you trying to do to me here? What's going on, people? Yeah, in a sec. Let me turn that one down. Get all my volumes and stuff right. Oh, that's too quiet now. Hey, how's it going, Kibbles? Quibbles? Quibbles? Quibbles and friends? Yeah, we need to add like a background volume. There we go. How's everybody doing tonight? Let me get over here. Okay. Alright, so welcome to the consult stream. Before we get into all that, I heard about something kind of funny that dropped. Wow, is my frame rate okay? My frame rate, it seems slow. Frame rate seems slow and low and weird. How are we doing? Ha ha ha! Yeah, before we get into the consults though. You love more Dragonbane content. I would love to make more Dragonbane content. I wish people would watch it more, is the thing. You know? I'd love to continue making stuff for Dragonbane a lot. This next year, I'd really like to write some kind of an adventure for Dragonbane. I picked up something to like fidget with for a second, and I picked up batteries. What am I going to do with batteries? Yo. Before we get into the consult stream, though, I heard there is an errata and sage advice dropped for the 2024 Player's Handbook. And, I guess we're going to take a look at that real quick. And of course, this looks super teeny tiny on the screen. Okay. With the release of the new Monster Manual in February, all the 2024 core rulebooks are available for players to begin and continue their epic adventures. Our sages have been working hard at scribing the first round of the official corrections and clarifications on its errata, as well as something exciting to return. Okay, sage advice. The errata, this is what we're interested in. What happened here? Okay, conjure minor elementals definitely is going to get hit, right? Oh god, yeah, that was, yeah. This update it corrects and clarifies some text in this Player's Handbook 2024. The changes appear in recent printings of the book. These changes have been applied across D&D Beyond and can also be found via downloadable PDF. Goliath traits. The powerful build trait, you have advantage on any saving throw, is now you have advantage on any ability check. So they nerfed Goliath? You have okay. You have advantage on any saving throw, is now you have advantage on any ability check. Where do I even have that rulebook? Oh. Behind the mandolin.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
What the fuck?
I forgot that was my intro.
Was that Bill Wirtz? How's it going, Ken?
It's going pretty good.
Still a piece of garbage. If only it was the I'm a princess line. That would have been... so they nerfed Barbarian? This seems like this is objectively worse.
They nerfed Barbarian.
Or sorry, not Barbarian. Sorry, Goliath. Wow, I mean Goliath Barbarian. Look, the mistake was no. I don't know, man.
Same thing. Whatever.
Yeah, we know what class you're going with this one.
Powerful trait. You have advantage on any saving throws. Now you have advantage on any ability check.
Let me see here. That was in powerful build. Saving throw.
Saving throw.
Made to end the grappled condition. Oh. Because grappled it's an ability check to break it.
Yeah, they changed it so it's a sidestep. It's not really a difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean it's a fix. It's a fix. Okay, yeah, that's a fix. Grappler, your speed isn't halved when you moved, is now you don't have to spend extra movement to move. Okay. Poisoner, the broom poison benefits force sentence until you hit with the poison item is now until you deal damage with the poisoned item. Okay. So if you hit something that's immune? Oh, no, wait. No. It's just the weapon damage can be interesting. I wonder what that might have caused. I don't know what the misinterpretation... Well, I don't think it was a misinterpretation. I think it had to have been...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. Telekinetic. In the minor telekinesis benefits second sentence, its range is increased. Okay. And its range and the distance it can be away from you both increased by 30 feet. Its range increases by 30 feet. Oh, is this the one for the mage hand?
Benefits second sentence.
I was just curious if... Anyway, this is going to be a feat. So... Right? Feats... Minor telekinesis... Or telekinetic, okay. So it's not minor telekinesis, it's... Okay, telekinetic. Yes, okay. Mage hand spell... Its range increases by 30 feet when you cast it. And the spell's casting ability... Oh, so... The range at which you can conjure the thing and the distance... So you can send this 30 feet further than the range of Mage Hand. I guess. I guess.
It'd be clarifying because before the range would increase by 30 feet, but then it couldn't stay 30 feet away from you. So if it was in that distance, it would have just canceled. Maybe.
That's a very weird thing if that's the case. The shield subheading. Okay, it's now shield utilized. Okay. Spells. Here we go. Animal shapes. The spell's last paragraph has been replaced with the following. The target gains a number of temporary hit points equal to the hit points of the first form into which it shapeshifts. These temporary hit points vanish, if any remain, when the spell ends. The transformation lasts for the duration or until the target ends it as a bonus action. Okay. So it's just like wild shape. I mean, it feels like it's supposed to be kind of similar to... Oh, no, wait, because the temporary hit points. Oh, no, wait. Wild shape is temporary hit points now. Right. Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, at least if I remember right, it's like 90% sure or something like that. But, I mean, I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I haven't really played a druid quite yet. I was playing a druid in a little actual play thing, but I think it's on hold at the moment. But
I honestly haven't played 5.5 or whatever we're calling it these days at all.
I've played it twice now, and it's like it's 5e. Like it feels like 5e with a couple of little new bells and ribbons and stuff. Conjure elemental. Yeah, so this is all they are way walking back the damage spikes that they were doing at higher level spell slots. Conjure elemental walked that back. Yeah,
big for conjure elemental because that was broken.
No, it was conjure minor elementals. That was the busted one.
Minor, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this was the one that was like, I mean, what was it? There was like a 300 damage like combo with it.
It was so stupid.
Yeah. Conjure woodland beings. Okay, level above 5 is now level above 4. Okay. Motorcycle going by. 10 for each spell level. Okay, so the hit points of the monster is now 10 for each spell level above 4. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. That's a good qualifier. I mean, that's just a clarification. That's yeah. I'm honestly kind of shocked they didn't address the web shot thing. Like, I said something about it, and then someone on Reddit was like, look at this dipshit's hot take, and I'm like, okay, look, it's like first blush look at things, you know? So, like, the fact that it was requiring it didn't require a saving throw. That's right, and it was really easy to just continuously generate advantage on that thing. If I remember that right. Shooting stuff out of the sky as like a giant spider or something felt a little bit odd, especially because it didn't have a size restriction from what I recall. The following sentence has been added after the first. These temporary hit points vanish. Okay. Shape change. The second paragraph of the spell's description has been replaced with the following. When you cast a spell, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the hit points of the first form into which you shapeshift. These temporary hit points vanish if any remain when the spell ends. Okay, so does that cover... That's like if I shape change into a creature that can change into other things, I'm assuming.
Yes, or they're probably also future-proofing in case you get an ability later where you could like alter it or something. Like, you know how like with like illusionists can alter illusion, like mid-illusion.
Yeah.
But this way, you just be like, all right, this way you can't just get tough hit points and then, yeah.
Yeah. That is a quote-unquote nerf, but I can't really think of too many ways in which that's fucking absurdly game-breaking. But, I mean, you know, it's good to see the cleanup. True polymorph. In the second paragraph of the creature into creature subsection, the second sentence has been replaced with these temporary hit points vanish if any remains when the spell ends. So it seems like, moreover, with the shakeup that they were doing, the shape-changing mechanics in the game, they're kind of just cleaning up the way that these are operating. Yeah. So, like, unifying that is all good. Dude, the nerfs on these spells, we knew this was a mistake. We knew whenever we first saw this that this was absurd what they were doing. The scaling was insane. Yeah. And
even from 2d8 to 1d8, it's still a really good spell if you choose it the right way. Like, it is still really good.
Like, okay, I cast a 4th level spell to do 150 damage instead of 300 now. Okay. Yeah. Like, that's still really fucking good. Especially for as cheap as a 4th level spell slot will be at later levels. Like, yeah, that's... Yeah. All stat blocks have been replaced with the Monster Manual 2025 versions.
In Appendix B?
They completely changed all of the stat blocks in the book in the first print to the ones for the... I didn't know that there was going to be a difference. That's rough. Okay. Grappling and the grappling entry, escaping a grapple is now ending a grapple. Also, the following sentence has been added to the end of that subsection. In addition, the grappler can release a target at any time, no action required. Okay, so that just wasn't originally included with grappling, I guess?
I mean,
I've got the book right here. I could just open it up. I just don't really want to, because I could just...
I mean, that's
whatever.
not something that... I guess it's good to clarify if they're going to have enough rules for it anyways. I don't really see that as a need, but...
Yeah. Grappling, escaping a grapple. It was the following sentence has been added to the end of that subsection. Oh, escaping a grapple, because it doesn't have anything about ending a grapple. Oh, okay. Yeah, it needs that. In the second paragraph, you have the invisible condition is now you have the invisible condition while hidden. In the third paragraph, the condition ends on you is now you stop being hidden. Okay, so making it to where you can't just say perma invisible, I guess. Okay. There was a treasure hoard that got an extra 0 at one point, it looks like. Damn. Yeah, there's a lot of errata to it. Man, they could have really saved their first print run if they would have been like, we need 6 more months. That's it. We need 6 months, and we can release the whole thing as one big boom. Let's get this out the door. That's rough. And then there's a map update for stickers. Neat. Okay. Well, like, we basically assumed that this was going to happen at some point. There was no way Conjure Minor Elementals was going to stay in the game as a 2d8 per spell level. That was fucking insane. Oh, man. You were just thinking about the website issue yourself. They addressed the hide issue. Yeah. Even if they move out of hiding, good clarification. If they had only released a playtest version, like, this is the deal. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing in here, I don't remember seeing Conjure Minor Elementals in a playtest. Like, everybody was caught way off guard by this.
We would have freaked the hell out if we had seen that in a playtest ahead of time. It wasn't until the book came out that everyone's like, look what we can break. Yeah.
There would have been, I mean, dude, all the optimizers would have immediately made videos about, like, this is now the most busted spell.
Mm-hmm.
You remember it was? You remember it in the playtest? Was it?
Really?
How did this skip?
Maybe
how
we
did
just thought it was like busted, and we're like, nah, they'll fix it. There's no way they'll leave it that way.
Yeah, they they didn't release a playtest of monsters from what I recall. I genuinely do not remember this spell ever being in an Unearthed Arcana. If it was, I would. I mean, if you can tell me which one it was, I'll 100% go check that out. And I would be shocked as to how we didn't catch it. If there's like a YouTube video out there, whoa. Someone even pointed it out and we figured it was a mistake. Yeah, Henry Malinowski, if you can tell me what Unearthed Arcana that was in, I'd love to pull that one up. I'd love to see, because I don't remember it. Like, at all. Like, yeah. Not saying you're a liar or anything like that. I just genuinely don't remember it.
Oh, no, it was probably in there. We probably just glossed over it because we figured it was wrong.
And we were working on a million other things. But, yeah, so, like, this is, I mean, good. They're cleaning stuff up, and it sounds like, yes, it is a good idea to walk back this crazy damage scaling that was going on with these spells. I don't really know why they were scaling it 2D, like 2 damage dice. It was fucking crazy. I mean, absolutely fucking crazy. Yeah. Anyways, now with that, I know that was going to be a quick segment. Now to the main course here. Hey, everybody. Sorry I had to start a little bit late, just like, you know, life that happens. But consultation streams. Okay. So the way that this works out, my Patreon sponsors and now YouTube members can submit. This is a once a month thing. They can submit something that I will take a look at, and it sounds like Ken may or may not be joining me tonight. Are you hanging for a while, Ken?
Yeah, I'm hanging out. My partner's off doing girl stuff, so I'm just chilling.
Nice. So we've got me and Ked here to kind of look over your stuff. I guess Ked. So like a lot of people are like they're here on the channel. They kind of know me. You want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself if they're not familiar with you?
I guess so. Fellow RPG designer person, also work doing like layout stuff in the industry. I am on the verge of releasing Void Home, a sci-fi horror RPG thingy as well. Work closely usually with Money Cook Games, but I've been kind of dabbling with others lately as well.
Ooh.
And yeah, I can't say too much, but I've had some meetings lately and they have gone well. Yeah, I got a YouTube channel. I sometimes stream, and I'm Canadian, and I'm not drunk this time. Yeah.
Hey. Oh man. So with this, we're gonna start this out. A couple of rules on this thing. Number one, biggest one, it has to be TOS friendly. We got a submission already on this one that was showing some boob. So unfortunately, as much as I love looking at boob, we can't bring it up here on stream. Sorry. This is what's helping to pay the bills, man. So, but that being said, it has to be TOS friendly. 1,500 words or less. We have to be able to read it pretty quick. Okay. It needs to be a piece of usable content for a game. Okay. We have 3 submissions in here for Vagabond, which I'm like stoked for, because like we can get through Vagabond consults pretty damn quick. And we have what looks to be what is this? This is I worked on this project for years and I would like to pass over the basics section. My friends and I have done multiple playtests, but the game still feels off. If reading that chunk is too long at the consultation, please let me know. Okay. This is 116 pages? And you want me to take a look at the basics of it? All right, that is 3 to 20. That would be out of the scope of this, Quibbles. We will save that for last if we have time to kind of like hit that one. Let me see, how long is the section? Like, how wordy is it? So we have, first off, the layout looks really good. Here, I'll bring this up real quick. This is Supergrind from Quibbles. It's a celebrity superhero role-playing game. All right. Number one, you did a lot of good layout work already in just Google Docs here.
Yeah,
like,
nice and clean.
Yeah, this already looks nice, clean. This is not Montserrat. This is like Overpass, I think, on the font. Is this Montserrat? Is this the Shadowdark font? It is Mont.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what is Supergrind? Okay. We'll come back if we do have time. We'll definitely hit it. We have 3 classes for Vagabond. First up, we have the Physician, and this is from Tiger Uppercut. All right. So the Physician, let me see. Let me get a good zoom on that. We're really at 200%, and that's... Can we get any closer, or is Google Docs going to freak out? Okay, this looks okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, okay, it looks better once I'm not looking at it in Streamlabs. All right, Physician. Extreme remedies are very appropriate for extreme diseases. Okay, so we have Leonard McCoy from Star Trek, Trafalgar Law from One Piece, Erwin Wade from Saving Private Ryan, okay, Hawkeye from MASH, Simon Tam from Firefly. Okay, one of the things I like to really do with this is, like, I do try to find the, like, big fantasy iconics whenever I'm talking about iconic physicians, or, like, iconic for any class, right? So, like, having Hawkeye on here from MASH, I'm kind of like, Okay, but like he's just a doctor like other doctors are doctors, right? Like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman here, right? Or Erwin Wade from Saving Private Ryan. I would try to venture into more fantasy specific, right? And I also try to limit it to like one iconic per genre whenever I'm doing these. So that's why you'll see like I might have like Tifa for like the iconic pugilists, but she'll be the only like RPG rep, right? In there were also like, oh god, what other iconic pugilists did I list on that? And let me see here.
Oh my God.
Yeah, here. Oh, I can just pull it up. I've got the InDesign document up right here. Oh yeah, I'll do a little to all you creators out there who are currently working in InDesign. Double check your fonts on your files, because Adobe just updated everything with Adobe fonts. They added a lot of stuff in there. At the same time, it broke so many fonts. Double check what you got, and I'm just going to put this out there. If you have any that are like, you know, let's say you went to the high seas and got a font, right? If Adobe has it on Adobe fonts, it will break what you have in your document. So just a heads up on that. I didn't pirate any fonts for Vagabond, by the way. I didn't pirate anything there. I'm just letting you know. Now, less 70s to 80s TV shows got it. Yeah, well, like, so here, like, iconic pugilists. I have Carl from Dungeon Crawler Carl. Rocky Balboa from Rocky, right? Hellboy. So we have movies, right? This is fantasy literature, right? Hellboy is comics. I guess Red Wall would be a literature thing. I think if I were to try and decide between the two, I would probably clip Stiffener, because Carl from Dungeon Crawler Carl is a more modern, like, kind of in the pop culture right now side of kind of a thing, and they're about to get a movie with Dungeon Crawler Carl, so like I want to keep that in there. And then Tifa from Final Fantasy VII, so our video games, right? If I scroll up to merchants, okay, well, this is a bad example. I did just use a bunch of video games on this. Maybe disregard everything I've said. Maybe I'm a moron on that.
That's true.
But I guess merchants don't really have a whole lot of... Hang on. Okay. I give that advice, and then I immediately show how I broke it.
Why was
All
the
right.
Cabbage Man from Avatar: The Last Airbender not in merchant?
God damn it, you're right. He needs to be there. Magus, Alucard from Castlevania, right? Video game rep. I guess anime rep now. Elric of Melnibone, literature rep, right? Geralt of Rivia, literature rep, but also video games, and now also TV. So, like, I guess pick your poison there. Twilight Suzuka, anime rep, right? This is another thing too. Be sure you don't like overdo the anime rep. I want to know, especially with a pulp fantasy game, where can I like read a book where it's like, I want to know some of the fiction behind how this character describes their magic or their fighting style or something like that, right? Just seeing it in like anime is like cool and all that, but I kind of want to get into the mind of the character as well. Like, yeah. Now getting back in on this. Playing positions. Okay, so they're going to attack and use the first aid, which I'm guessing is a unique action. They're flexible. Okay, starting pack, cook, hermit, or investigator. Key stat is logic. Okay, 2 complexity. Cool. All right, so let's look. You gain the combat medic perk. When you use this ability, the recipient gains favor on their next roll. Okay. That's quite good. Now somebody having to take damage, I guess, like, one of the things I might think on this is, like, if you're kind of incentivizing them to be damaged in order to get the favor, it kind of does this weird thing in play where I've seen people go like, well, somebody hit me so I can get this additional bonus right here. I tried to avoid a lot of, like, when you're at half health perks in Vagabond, because I tend to find that if you give something that's too strong like that, players are going to be like, no, don't heal me. Like, you know, in some cases it's fine. Like, if you want to play, like, I want to be the tough guy, whatever. In this case, it's like, if players are stalling out or hurting themselves in order to gain a benefit from it, I'm kind of like, that doesn't really feel like we're doing the storytelling thing. It kind of feels like they're kind of trying to game the game, you know. At least that's my thought on that. Erudite, your medicine checks can't be hindered, and you gain the bookworm perk. Okay. So you're giving them 2 perks here at first level, which is very big. What I think you could do is you can get the power out of this right here by kind of messing with this down here. Hey, what up, Evan? Oh, by the way, Evan, glad you came by. Hang on, I gotta show this off. Ha ha ha! I've got it in hand, already thumbed through it, dude. It looks gorgeous.
Oh, so pretty.
It is very pretty, man. This is like one of the best looking box sets I've seen in TTRPGs, and I've looked at a shitload of box sets, and the note just warmed my cold little dead heart, man. Thank you. Yes, Evan sent me over one of the early proofs of Nimble, and it looks so fucking good. Whoever your printer was on this, man, here's the deal, okay? Good looking books are great. It takes a really good printer, though, to make a good smelling book. And this book smells incredible. It's like the Mary Mushman books. They have like that same smell. That's a weird thing for me, I guess. Yeah.
I get it. New book smell.
How could you get your homebrew classes reviewed? You'd like to publish them to drive through someday, and you feel like they all need a little bit of polish. This is so Patreon sponsors and YouTube members get a special role in the Discord server where they can submit to the consult streams. It kind of smells like a new car. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but it's like you get a bit of the glue, but like something about the glue just smells really nice. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well, enough of that. Anyways, yes. People. I know most of you must have heard about this thing by now. Evan really did make something super cool here. I've looked through the system, and quite honestly, I would prefer to play a Nimble game over a 5e game. I love the way that this thing is operating. This is looking like a very, very fucking clean TTRPG, man. You did a great job on this thing. I have planned a little plug for a video I'm scripting out right now. So, but yeah, man. Anyways, yes, this got in, and thanks for stopping by, dude. Oh, okay. You'll have to get on that. You've been doing some submissions for Castles and Crusades in the near future. I am still trying to completely grok Castles and Crusades. I have the book and everything. It seems like I open it and I kind of feel like I don't know what's going on, but I do own it. I've tried to go through it a couple times. It's been a little bit of a hard read, but yeah. Now, okay, kind of getting back on this. I see that you're liking to use the idea of the bookworm perk. A lot of people that are trying to make the experts in Vagabond seem to be leaning in on making this perk work out for the class as well. What you could do here is you're getting the combat medic perk. I think that's basically a requirement for the physician. You could give them something that is like you can add your study die to the healing, or grant it to all right, how about this? You gain the combat medic perk. When you use this ability, you can spend a study die to increase the healing by a roll of that die. The recipient of the healing also gains a d6 to use on their next d20 roll or something like that. But that they use before the end of their next turn. Something like that, right? You like using study die in this class? Yeah, I really... So, to anybody who's wondering where that came from, it's from Vaesen. The study die thing is the way that they handle advantage in Vaesen. I really like the idea that you could have this floating... bonus that you can apply to a check of your choice. And it all comes from whether or not you have, like, studied up on the monsters that you're, like, hunting down. I love that idea so much, and I wanted to make a mechanic for that over here in Vagabond, and it seems like the implementation of it has made a lot of people go like, oh, this makes people feel smart now. So I like the idea. Although I don't know what I would suggest, I would try to say choose either Bookworm or Combat Medic. And I think for a position, it kind of has to be Combat Medic. But it's tough, because, like, keying it off of studied dice... Maybe you could do this. You gain the Combat Medic perk. God, this would be too easy to generate. I was thinking, like, whenever you use it, if you roll the highest value on the die, you get a studied dice. But at the same time, that's going to encourage that loop of hurt yourself so I can, like, try to keep rolling a d6 and, like, hit a 6.
You're your own bag of rats.
Yeah, that is your own bag of rats, yeah.
My main thing for this is, like, it doesn't look badly written or anything. Like, they're trying to come up with, like, good ideas and how they could, like, make this thematic and still, like, not horribly unbalanced or anything. But my main thing is with this is right at the get-go, you get a couple of perks, maybe some minor tweaks, but what is special about this? Like, what you mean? I mean, I don't see the rest of the class yet, but what is the unique mechanics that makes this stand out other than just getting some perks? These are perks you could get elsewhere.
Yeah, Combat Medic is only once per shift per character. Hang on a sec. Let me double check that. I thought it was once per scene, but it's been a minute since I've looked at the perks since we made it. Combat Medic, where'd we go? Right here, yeah. Doing so removes the sicken says, okay, it can't be affected by this once for the rest of the shift. Gotcha. Okay. Right. D6 plus your reason. Okay. So... I'm trying to think of what your fix here could be. Because, yeah, you do have a point there. You do have a point. When you use this ability, the recipient gets favor on their next roll. I actually think if it's limited to once per shift, this is a little bit weak and would need to come up with something else in here. And I think that would be maybe moving your medicine checks can't be hindered into first aid, but it feels a little bit weird kind of stacking 3 features into 1 feature. Which is why they get more at level 1. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it tends to be okay. So, like, my mindset with designing first levels on Vagabond was like they always get a free perk, and it is typically like what I think is the interesting thing is the perks that you get from your class are not restricted to your stat. So I'm kind of looking at like, okay, reason 4+, what is their key stat going to be? Probably reason, right? So, yeah. Or, oh, well, yeah, we renamed it to reason, but yeah. So, like, they could probably get Combat Medic or Bookworm pretty easily. So, they're going to want Combat Medic, though. That's just the thing. Your medicine checks can't be hindered is pretty damn good. Yeah, I like the idea of first aid. Here's something I thought maybe. What if, because this is the position and this is the thing that they want to do a lot, you gain the combat medic perk and can administer its healing, or you can use its action once per hour? I'm trying to think about once per scene. Once per scene feels like it's going to be a non-stop thing of like, let's get into a fight, and then I'm going to use this thing, and you can use this, and you can use this perk again on a creature. I'm trying to think. You thought about that, but it's either too much or too little. Man, honestly though, like if this is going to be the combat medic perk specialist, it should probably be once per scene. You can reuse it with a study die. Ooh.
That's pretty good.
Do
Still
it.
within a limitation though, I think.
That's already got a good limitation.
That's true.
You can do it on the same creature during the same shift by spending a study die. You know what? I think that's so good it would justify breaking the one perk rule and just say you gain Bookworm and Combat Medic, and you tie the two together with a feature that is like boom, right? Yeah, sacrifice a study die to reuse the perk. Yeah, that feels cool. That feels like a really good reason to justify why you get both of them right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then if your next feature was like your medicine checks can't be hindered, what you would build yourself into is you gain the combat medic perk and it will continue. Yeah, the D6 explodes on one. Here's what I would say. Add extra D6s to the healing as they level up. Have that be your scaling in this. You gain an additional D6 with first aid every 3 levels hereafter. So then you get it at 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. Just straight up, it's the rogue scaling. So like, if you do that, their capstone is every time you use combat medic, you heal somebody for 4d6. It can also remove the sicken status, and you can reuse that healing by spending a study die. That's the kind of thing like any other spellcaster is going to have to blow a lot of mana on to do.
Yeah.
Sure, they can do that early on, but like you get it without spending any mana, and you can generate study dice pretty easily, and you get the status removal kicker. And then we would have a natural thing later on where like not only does it remove the sicken status, you can remove blinded, deafened, other stuff from it later on. Yeah, you can revive a being as if you had cast a life spell. Once healed, the recipient can immediately take an action. Okay, smelling salts, you are totally appealing to me here. Okay, so I think that's like kind of an idea for a core right there, right? At first level. Second level, when you surgical strike, when you spend a study die on an attack and hit, deal an extra d6 damage, and the target is dazed for 1 round. Okay. So I personally, if I was looking at like what makes an iconic physician, I'm not immediately thinking they're better at stabbing people, right? Any Patreon tier would be valid for consultation. It is the paid tiers. It's not just like following on Patreon or anything. But yeah, anybody that's over there supporting on Patreon can submit something every month. Yeah. On an attack and hit, you deal an extra d6 damage and the target is dazed for 1 round. I don't know. What do you think, Ked?
I'm not against it. It's not unusual to actually see that even in other RPGs where like the healer or surgical or chirurgeon or whatever ends up getting something to do with like, you know how anatomy works, thus you know how to hurt people as well as heal them.
Right.
And it this way they don't feel entirely like a one-trick pony, which can kind of get boring if you're not like in a scene that your wheelhouse applies to.
Oh,
like,
and it's requiring
aren't hurt.
And it's the studied dice.
Yeah. So he's already using what would now be double dipping on the same thing. So,
and it's requiring the and hit though. Okay, so there's a potential moment for feel bad in this, where somebody spends the studied die on an attack and they don't hit. Then it's I blew the resource, I didn't hit, and I can't use the thing that this class was telling me I should be doing, right? Now, here's the deal. You can just go kind of rogue with that, though, and say, when you make a favored attack and hit, it deals an extra d6 damage, and the target is dazed for 1 round. Because then you can spend the studied dice to favor the attack check, and it still works out the same way. Mm-hmm. But we've opened up the way for this, right? Because like the narrative is still the same thing. Like Rogue's whole idea behind sneak attack is I don't make a lot of attacks, but the one that I do hit with it is going for your jugular. You know, like that's their whole big deal, is like they know how to strike super accurately. And like that's, I think you're going for the same idea there. So like, is someone going to be all like upsetting spaghetti because it was like, this is like similar to the, like what the rogue gets? Maybe, but like who cares? Like, I've never been a big fan of the idea of like, oh well, you know, class exclusivity, nothing else can ever get something quite like this. I'm like, the ultimate end to that is like nobody can ever play the game the exact same way. You know, like we can never have 2 martialists because they attack with weapons, and like weapons are supposed to be the fighter's thing. It's like, wait, are they? It's a flavor of the rogue attack. Yeah. That's kind of what I would think, right? Okay, well-rounded. You gain the following perks: advancement, pack mule, new training. You gain this feature again at 8th level. Okay, so I think I wrote this on the Vagabond class that was going to be like a big blank slate. I'm not sure that this one has the slow start enough to kind of justify it getting 3 perks here. Because that was kind of the thing with the Vagabond, is like, you were not really getting many base class features, but whenever you did get ones at like 4th and 8th level, those hit and they were like, you suddenly got 3 perks and everybody else was getting 1. Like that was supposed to be like a ooh moment on the Vagabond. It was the Yeoman class that this spawned off of. This was on the Yeoman class that this spawned off of. Oh, you submitted this? Okay, yeah. No, I do kind of remember that one. Okay. What about instead of a proper sneak attack, go into burning condition to represent hitting an artery? Well, because the burning condition has a specific thing on like an action can be taken to like in the condition. Typically it's like dousing it with fire or something, but also like the burning condition, I would hope to keep that kind of narratively the same toward like fire or acid.
Yeah.
You could do something that was like, there's a continual damage that gets taken where it's like, it takes an additional it takes CD4 damage after if you hit with, ooh, there you go. That's how you can make this thing different from a rogue. You go like, if you hit with an attack that was favored, the target takes an extra CD4 damage. Boom. Have it like that. It simulates it bleeding out, right? Like, and you might even say like, as long as that target is capable of bleeding or something like that, you know? Yeah, I think you can do the same thing and not tie it into the burning condition. Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I was thinking. Because it would be really weird if there was like something that was immune to the burning condition and you stabbed it and it clearly like takes, you know, oh yeah, you hit me and all that stuff, but yet I'm apparently immune to it because I'm immune to burning, Yeah, bloodletting. Yeah, that kind of a thing. Speedy recovery. The amount of healing delivered by your combat medic ability is doubled, and the D6 explodes on a 1. You want to ramp this up, and I think that you're on the right path here. I think that if you're going to do the scaling at first level, just have it scale. And this can be, you can open this up to something else. Yeah, my ghost blood. Yeah. Smelling salts. Your combat medic ability can revive a being as long as you cast a life spell, or as if you cast a life spell. You can, all right, here you go. You can move this to 6th level. Because everybody else is already, like, if you're going to be the healer for the party, yeah, you're doing some damage. So is the wizard, the sorcerer, the luminaire. Because the way that, like, magic is working in Vagabond, and it's not, like, revival or resurrection magic is just restricted to clerics, other people can cast a life spell and pop up one of their buddies. So, like, you could do this earlier, and spending the study dice in order to do it this way, again, is really good at reining that in as well. I actually kind of like combat medic as your restriction for how often that can happen. Yeah, man. I think you could move that up a little bit earlier. Yeah. Something else kicking in here, the fact that you would already be getting scaling with first aid going up to 4d6 right here would be super good. You also have the ability here at, like, let's say 4th level, whenever you use the combat medic ability, you can also remove 1 status from it from either, so it has sickened, right? So, like, it also removes blinded, deafened, and then we don't have stunned. Oh, you guys are getting a little peek at the final Vagabond update too. We have removed the weapons table at the very back and replacing it with statuses. I guess you can remove paralyzed. Unconscious makes sense. You can end the burning condition. That would be really good. You can choose to end a condition on it. Level of fatigue can't do that. Fatigue is supposed to be devastating in this game. Fatigue is a big rein-in on resurrection magic. Also, sorcerer. If I remember right, we allowed them to take a fatigue in order to do overpowered again.
Oh yeah, you would suddenly turn into a battery for them to just use it.
Yeah, this is the reason why that can't happen. I intentionally designed this sorcerer. This 10th level feature needs to be the thing that people study for, like, why we can't fuck with fatigue too much. When you cast your crit, you crit on cast checks on a roll of 18 to 20. Further, when you cast, you can choose to gain 2 fatigue. If you do, you regain CD6 mana at the start of your turns and can spend as much mana as you like to cast. This is supposed to be like, this sorcerer turns into a living fucking nuke. So, like, if they're taking, but it's coming at the cost right here in the 2 fatigue, right? This is also a part of tap. So, like, the sorcerer is literally supposed to be using their own body to, like, fuel all the magic. So if we're allowed to just keep popping the sorcerer up and they can just blow all this mana to just, like, get rid of the fatigue, or, like, you know, if we make fatigue too easy to get rid of, sorcerer busts this game in half. So that would be something I would keep considering. Maybe level 10 explodes all the combat medic dice. Like your combat medic, or your the dice from your healing rolls for combat medic explode, or can explode, right? Yeah, could be something like that. But yeah, was there anything specific that you had a question on that we can hit before we move on to the next one? Hey, what up, Fallen Phoenix? I don't know, Kid, do you have any other thoughts?
I'm not sure if the exploding bit would be needed if you're having the scaling the multiple dice. Like if it was just been the one die like you had it, the exploding was a great idea because that way you don't get the feel bad like roll of a 1 or whatever. But if you're going like you're getting like 46 at the end of it,
it's a shitload of healing. That is a lot of health they're getting back.
Yeah, I don't think that needs to explode per se.
You got to
worry about it like the likelihood of just rolling all ones is with 46 is unlikely.
Yeah. But that's all good. All right, sweet. Hey, thanks, Tiger, for submitting. I really appreciate it.
I personally love to see this. I like seeing non-magical healers in stuff like this.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it always kind of comes down to the thing of like, I mean, like, okay, so like I designed the dancer because I was like, we don't have a martial support in D&D. I was like, what would that look like? And that was like my answer to it. I wanted the feeling of like, what would be a cool way to play a support in like D&D that isn't like we don't have any kind of support for. And I was like, action economy supports don't exist, and it turned into a whole big thing, right? I really love the idea of unconventional non-magical supports. Super sick. I think you have basically like a great bare bones start and a way to jump off into this being a full-on thing. Absolutely.
If you're looking for more inspiration as well, one class that I really, really loved that was like a non-magical healer. It was in the Pure Steam book. It was like an expansion for Pathfinder originally. There was the Chaplain class, and they had Gravita dice that I thought was a really fun mechanic.
I'm looking that up right now.
I think they might have even made a 5e version eventually as well.
Really?
Originally it was like a Pathfinder like 1e.
God, reading Pathfinder features is like reading Yu-Gi-Oh cards, though. Okay.
But I just remember the Chaplain was a really good, like a really interesting thing with the Gravita dice.
The Chaplain's voice and personality carry so much power and unearthly authority that she could bolster or weaken a creature's resolve with a single utterance. Each day she can use this ability a number of times equal to half her Chaplain level plus her charisma modifier. With one use of this ability, the Chaplain can bestow temporary hit points. Okay, within 30 feet, they can hear her.
This is Pathfinder First Edition. It's going to be over-designed to all fuck.
Yeah. The amount of temporary hit points increases by 1d6 at every odd numbered level after first. These temporary hit points last for 3 rounds, plus 1 round for every 2 levels after the... Okay, they do not stack with temporary hit points from any source. Alternatively, a Chaplain can use Gravitas to inflict an amount of non-lethal damage equal to 1d6 plus a Chaplain. Okay, so it's a word, it's like a minor, very, very minor power word, heal/kill.
Yeah. And then it was just like they could play off of it to like demoralize or help their people, or I thought it was interesting for its day.
Yeah. You just go like, die, bitch. Okay. All right. So let's see. Next up, we have actually 2 from Hiskey. We have the Spirit Warrior and the Shieldheart, formerly known as the Prism. All right, let me see this Shieldheart. Also try out Onyx's Ardent class from Hiskey. Okay, so the Shieldheart, Steven Universe, Susan Storm, Violet Parr, The Incredibles. Okay. So we have... Okay, Shieldhearts are high utility frontline strikers that can create walls that divide the battlefield in their favor. Cast frontline, Sorting Pack, Fortune Teller, Monk, or Occultist. Okay, awareness 4 on the complexity. Okay. Melee weapons, mysticism, brawl, and 2 others. All right. Shield on demand. You gain the protector perk. You may block using mysticism, and you ignore hinder from ranged attacks when you do. Okay. I don't really see any huge issue with that. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I can't really think of an issue with it.
It's mostly just a skill swap at the moment, which is, I mean, thematic. Like, it's nothing bad with it.
Yeah. Oh, you came up with a new spell for this thing. 2 spells, one of which must be Force Wall, and you gain another spell every 3. Okay, so this is a half caster. Yeah, half caster. So what is Force Wall? You create a translucent, flat, impassable wall up to 15 feet in diameter within close of the target. The wall has 4 hit points. You can spend 1 mana to replenish the hit points when the wall is about to be destroyed. Okay. You place the wall within the area. Oh, this is for area delivery. Gotcha. You place the wall within the area, and the wall can be as large as the bounds of the area allow. Okay, cool. Because yeah, I was like thinking the delivery. All right, so I see what you're going for here with this. Okay, it has 4 hit points. You can spend 1 mana to replenish the hit points when the wall is about to be destroyed. I think that this needs maybe a little bit of a limiter, but like I guess the mana is kind of your limiter. How much you're willing to put into that. I don't see a big problem with that. Like anything I would think of, it's like, well, yeah, that's like a cinematic moment anyways, so like you don't really want to fight that.
Like I see some minor shenanigans with it, but like in a good way, like that you're meant to be a CC, like to do crowd control with it. Like that's the point.
Yeah.
And, I mean, 4 hit points, it's not like super tough to get through, and it's stopping your party just as much as stopping the bad guys.
Right. The funny thing to me is like whenever I've designed stuff like this for a game and I get feedback back where people are like, wait, but they use this thing to like block off a passageway, and I'm like, it was designed to do that. Like, what's the problem?
It's called
like,
tactics.
Yeah. Like, what? Okay, so then what? They were doing the thing. They were using the things for their character option. Yeah. Okay, you may move a wall created by your force wall up to near as an action and rotate it in any orientation. If it hits a being or beings, it stops, and you can attempt to shove them using mysticism. Okay, so now we have a pretty mobile Vanguard here that's doing AoE Vanguard stuff. And I'd be a little bit worried about that.
Now they're getting a little too much in the shenanigans, and big minus points for calling it Wonderwall.
2 days. No, wait, is that Wonderwall? I thought that was Champagne Supernova for a second. Dude, I haven't listened to Oasis in like 10 years. Okay. Moving the wall could be okay.
Up to near as an action. Rotating it to any orientation.
If it hits a being or beings, I mean, you can just say if it hits a being, because I mean you don't even need the plural there, because if it hit a being and there were just multiple beings there, well, one is enough to stop it apparently.
You to shove them using mysticism. So like, how does that work mechanically if there's like 3 dudes there and you're all shoving them at once? And like 1 succeeds and 2 fails.
This was a thing for the Vanguard and why they were having to make a separate check for each. Because part of their feature was, if they're going to move so much stuff around all the time like that, something has to stop it at some point. And if it's another like being that like stops it, well, like we need to, be sure that we're making a separate check like that. I'm wondering if it's like maybe because you're focusing, but like maybe I'm not sure what I would recommend there. Because one of the things I'm kind of seeing in this right now is this seems to be a class designed very specifically for one spell. And I kind of wonder if this couldn't be achieved with sorcerer and a perk, like a unique perk that you could give it. Because a part of the reason why I'm kind of wondering that is I see a lot of this as building into this one very specific spell, and most Vagabond classes are like still kind of making the character themselves like better and giving them a lot more features that are like, it's not so dependent on a very specific thing, right? I mean, kind of thinking, I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do.
I like some of the ideas that's going with it, like the moving the wall thing. Like I can envision like trying to knock a bunch of people off a cliff with it and stuff like that. Like I can see the usability, but I do worry it's very one trick pony, because it's like you have the wall and this is your thing, and that's it.
Although I will say, you kind of lose points on here for there is an iconic you could super easily include in here that is huge in pop culture right now. Who am I thinking of, Ked?
I don't know.
How is Adam Eve not on the iconics here? From Invincible?
Yeah, that would be a big one.
Like, straight up, this is like... well, okay, never mind. I don't want to get in spoiler territory. This is like a huge way that she fights. Is like... I mean, making those like pink bubbles and shit that like protect or move shit around, right? Now she's... the majority of her powers, and the scariest part about her power is not this right here, but it is how she fights. You know, I'm kind of thinking that like, man, you could make Adam Eve if you use that, like someone had like a transmuter class, and like this spell would be really good with a transmuter as making Adam Eve. Is this a Magic Vanguard? Yeah, and I kind of think that it's a little too AoE on that right here in particular.
Instead of the Vanguard where like they're just moving people around themselves or whatnot, I think it's meant to be like a AoE like CC going on.
This is like a very big zoner. Yeah.
I worry a little bit about how some of the mechanics work. Not that it's overpowered so much as it could feel clunky with a whole bunch of dice rolls eventually. If you start like you're starting to try and do these giant walls like rotating around like a merry-go-round, and
yeah, I would have to see it in operation, but I think the CC that this is providing is like probably too strong. Just right, like first blush there. And part of this might even be, I mean, you're still limited by the mana spent and everything. It is 15 feet. That's still really big. Yeah, I'd have to think about that one. When you shove a being with Wonderwall, they also take 1d6 damage. This damage increases by 1 die every 4 Shieldheart levels hereafter. So I could see that.
That's okay scaling.
Yeah, this is a natural escalation of this right here. Force Wall does not stop when it hits you or your allies. Instead, you can choose to carry or move them with it. And you can move it. It doesn't need to be on the ground, right?
They could already reorient it. So at that point, it's like magic carpet time. Yeah.
I don't really mind the idea. Especially as like, if this is gated to like a class feature, yeah, sure. 6th level. That's pretty strong. It's good. I mean, like, I like the idea of the utility that it would provide. You're basically an on-demand Tensors floating disk. Wait, no, you're better than that because... Yeah, no, it's better than Tensors. This is like a Bigby's hand. In some ways, it's not better than a Bigby's hand because well, no, wait. Oh, yeah, this is a Bigby's hand class. The whole combination of it is a Bigby's hand. So you got,
the more I think about
yeah.
it, the more I think I don't mind it being its own class. Actually, I think it needs to be play tested all the hell though.
Yeah, like I would like to see something like this. I'd like to see how this could be made a little bit more reasonable in here. I just my first rip is just it feels like there's too much control. You're spending the mana. Maybe if there was like you can attempt to shove 1 per mana you spend to do so or something like that. Like you can make the shove attempt, but it's going to cost you a mana to do that.
Move a wall created by your force wall to here as an action. Rotate it. So like there's no limits on how often you can just do it. It's just an action.
I mean, yeah. So once per turn. I mean, once per round. Really, it's good. I like the idea of the floating disc. Oh, you literally called it floating disc. Yeah. Bubble up. When you make a block, you can cast force wall targeting yourself. So that does. When you block, you can target yourself with force wall. And okay, so there's a sequencing thing that's kind of causing some confusion to me here. And that is, when do you cast it, right? Is it before or after you've determined whether or not the block was successful, right? So like if we say before, well then you don't really have to make the block. You've created this wall that takes the damage instead. I mean, if we're looking at this, the time, like the chronology of how this plays out.
Yeah,
and if that's
word it, I think either when you attempt a block, if it's happening before the results, or if you succeed at a block, if it's happening after the results.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, I like the idea of like what's kind of happening in here. I mean, I love Adam Eve, like fucking sick superhero powers. I love the ideas in this. I've always loved Bigby's hand as like an entire thematic for a character. I'd be down to see this in a state where it's like it feels as though the entire class was built around one specific spell, because it is. But it's like the entire class is made to make this spell do a bunch of different stuff. So it almost feels like this is just like... I don't know. I personally haven't really designed a class like that for Vagabond. I guess not really saying that it's a bad thing. It's just a thing that I'm kind of like...
I think personally, I think that's actually a smart move. It's using existing mechanics. Like they wanted to make some sort of like telekinetic shield thing, and instead of coming up with a whole new like rules system to do it, they're just like, here, there's mechanics already. I just make it a spell, and then I play off that.
Yeah.
So it saved them a lot of writing, I think, in the end, for making what could have been messy powers. I actually don't mind it. It's the particulars of some of the bits. I worry about when moving the walls around, some of the interactions, like how many rolls you're going to get out of this, whether it's going to slow down gameplay, trying to figure out like how it's affecting everything. Those are my main concerns. Not necessarily that it's overpowered or anything like that, so much as is it going to have an adverse effect on the actual gameplay itself?
Right. You know, this bubble up thing right here, what you could do, and I think that this would be just as cool, is if you oh, here you go. Your walls have a flying speed of 30 feet. Walls you make with force wall have a flying speed of 30 feet. And now you can do the bubble and like carry us to like this other area. Like we see happen so much with characters that you've listed right here. And like that feels like it's an easily negotiable, like this is what that power does. Like we're not adding a bunch of dice rolls or anything quite like that. It's we know that while we're in this bubble, we float with the bubble, you know, like you can use it to carry your allies and stuff. I mean, kind of what I'm just seeing there on my first blush, but yeah. I do think that this could easily result in something super playable. Like super playable. I mean, it's already operational, you know. I think it would just be this 10th level feels like a little bit like I'm not totally sure when the timing works out. This is, I think you really kind of sold me on the idea with this right here, the floating disc. Because this feels like I get the utility that you're going for with it. Yeah, it's literally just Wonderwall is the only thing that has me a little bit like, I'm a little bit worried. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of about it. Any other thoughts, Ked?
No, that pretty much sums it up. I don't see it being necessarily too powerful, and the more I read it, the more I don't mind this being its own class. I just worry about some of the interactions for the Wonderwall bit. Maybe just have it stop at the beings and maybe trying like a single shove or something, or just simplifying it in some way. Or you're gonna start seeing slowdown of gameplay as you start like messing around the whole battlefield.
Yeah, quite honestly, just the ability to rotate it after you cast it already is pretty good. Sure, it only has 4 hit points, but like you're still creating an obstruction that someone has to spend an action to deal with.
Yeah, like
because their options are either move around it or break through it. I mean, because with the control, you've got action economy denial, especially whenever you're able to zone like this. That means that at least one of the enemies has to spend an action to try to break this thing. And if they can't break it, I mean, one of the other things you might even do is, as part of the scaling, is say, don't really mess with the hit points too much. Increase its armor. It doesn't have any armor. So, like, not only does it have the hit points, at Wonderwall here at 2nd level, it has an amount of armor, not really 3rd level.
That would be a nice thing, so that you're not just getting little things nickel and diming it away.
Yeah. Yeah, if you gave it armor, like, I think it kind of would need that. Because, like, if it's only got 4 hit points, and you and your buddies are up there in this bubble, and someone's just like, I'm going to shoot it with a short bow. And you guys start falling out of the sky, right? It's the day that they're going to throw it back to you. I wonder if that line might have inspired this a bit. You know. Yeah, but I think, I hope that that's helpful. And you've already submitted another class for Vagabond, the Spirit Warrior. So the path shapes you, the spirits perfect you. A warrior that fights alongside their trusted spirit companion. Kuriko Komori from Overwatch. Alba from Neva. Kindred from League of Legends. Okay. Spirit warriors are frontline fighters that can command their spirit familiar to attack enemies or shield allies. Attack/cast. Frontliner. Monk, nomad, or scout. Okay. 4 on the complexity. Okay. Spirit warrior, spirit's blessing. So let's see here. You gain the familiar perk. Further, your familiar can occupy spaces with other beings and teleport into any being or... Wait.
To it, not into.
To. Oh, wow. What was I reading there? Oh my god. I was like, what the fuck? All right.
The intro sequence from The Witcher 3 where the raven goes into his eye.
Near as an action, the familiar is immune while sharing a space with an ally. Is immune?
Immune to what?
Is that all damage? The familiar is immune while sharing a space with an ally. I'm not super sure what that's kind of going for there.
Maybe they're trying to turn into a familiar pocket type thing.
to any being or point within near as an action. The familiar is immune while sharing a space with an ally. I'm wondering if that means any damage, because that can get fucky. Spirit's Blessing.
So I think they were trying to go with, since it's a spirit, like they were sort of inhabiting, like maybe you weren't far wrong when you said into. I think they're trying to have it like where it's inhabiting like literally the same space.
Yeah, because I see Ethereal Companion as a feature here in a bit. Spirit's Blessing, you can cast using Mysticism. You learn 2 spells. Okay, so you get the Familiar perk. Okay. Alright. Ethereal Companion. When your Familiar teleports to an ally, it can cast Bless or Ward on them. When it teleports to an enemy, the Familiar gains Immune until its next turn. And cast Guide on the enemy. Okay. When your Familiar teleports to an
buff or nerf.
Yeah, so okay. The Familiar gains Immune until its next turn and cast Guide on the enemy. So you're kind of using the Familiar as this narrative for this traveling, like Ken was just saying, this traveling buff or hindrance on them. The thing,
what was the trigger for the teleport again? Was it taking up? Was it like an action based?
No. So like your Familiar is going to have its own action. Like you're going to command it and everything. So like, I think that you've got a good point though. Using its action should say right in here, because now what it's doing is it's foregoing attacking as the Familiar. And you might even say,
I was worried it was going to double dip with your action and their action to do stuff.
Right. So it doesn't appear to be doing that. This is pretty much mostly about the Familiar getting this stuff. Okay. They've also got the ability to cast in here. I'm a little bit curious about how they're frontlining, because right now it kind of feels like the best way to play this is as a backliner. You stay way the fuck back and send your Familiar in to go do all this shit. Because I don't really see much tank prowess here. I don't really see much incentive to do melee attacks. I see a lot of, I have this buddy, I'm going to send that buddy to go around and do shit. Right? That to me feels very backline. Spirit Warp, when your Familiar teleports, it may also teleport a being that shares its space, delivering them to the nearest unoccupied space of the target position. A successful cast check is required to teleport an unwilling being. It's a lot of heavy crowd control. And, I mean, there's total Wile E. Coyote shenanigans that can happen here. So, but we have a lot of that, yeah. Do what?
Looking at the inspirations that they have and the fact that this is supposed to be a spirit warrior and they wanted it to be a frontliner, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I think they should remove the spell casting. I kind of think that too. Flitting around, but yeah, I don't think they're supposed to be a spellcaster.
Like, I don't know that it's like a. I wouldn't call this a shaman. I wouldn't call this like a. It's not exactly like a summoner, because like summoner tends to have some more variety in what they summon. Yeah, I think the moniker of warrior kind of implies something that I'm just not seeing right now. It could be that like maybe the inspirations for this are more warrior-esque, and that's kind of what bled into this. But I'm trying to think of like what else I might name this. I don't know exactly what.
So many of these things right now are about getting things to the Familiar, and the only thing right now that I'm seeing that the character gets is the spell casting, but that doesn't feed into being a frontline warrior whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean they could fix this really easy just by saying like, you know, look, we get rid of the warrior thing. You might even call it like a spiritualist. I'm not totally sure. But then that would kind of imply like maybe summoning ghosts, and yeah. Yeah, I would say pull the spell casting, but or you rework the narrative of the class. Because I'm not really sensing a whole lot of making the character good. You know, I'm sensing a lot of make the familiar better. Spirit Warp, we got that one. Spirit Swap. You can skip your move to swap places with a familiar. If the space is occupied, you arrive at the nearest unoccupied space. That one feels... So this is Echo Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like my biggest worry about Echo Knight was their parallel over here with this. Because that was a huge amount of mobility that you could just teleport like crazy with that class.
Well, the spirit can teleport on its action, and then you can swap with the spirit with your skipped move and then still get your action with it.
Yeah.
And it could be moving something with it when it teleports as well. That's 3 things you could be moving on your turn.
I mean, I like this idea of the what's the fox spirit thing in like Japanese folklore?
Kitsune.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels kind of like that vibe, like the trickstery kind of, you know, fox spirit thing we tend to see like in video games. This feels very like that vibe.
I don't mind the vibe. I don't think the spell casting was needed.
No, that's the thing is like I like the idea.
What I would put in place of the spell casting is just something to tank yourself up a little bit. Like not necessarily extra attacking or anything. You're getting some buffs from the spirit. You're getting a lot of like utility from the spirit, but some sort of survivability if you're going to be frontline with this. Because right now you got nothing.
Yeah, especially if you're recommending that they play this as a frontline class. I'm not really seeing the frontline aspects of it yet, you know. Sweet Thread, hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for popping in. Subscribe now to wait for the next consultation stream. I mean, if you have something that you want me to take a look at, if it follows all those rules and everything, go on ahead and submit it in the Discord. Spirit Link, allies that share space with a familiar deal an additional die damage on melee attacks. Okay. I can get that. There would be an interesting trade-off if this came on a little bit earlier, where you can choose to either like you have the buff on you, and there and now you are this kind of beefy, hard-hitting frontliner. This is the first time I kind of felt like a frontline feature kicked on,
Yeah.
Boundless Spirit. The familiar can teleport by skipping its move. Okay. So
you're getting full-on Nightcrawler action at that point.
Yeah. And I like it. I see the hint of something I would fucking adore.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of really cool ideas happening for what this thing would be doing. And I think this is at the okay, so everything kind of got thrown at the wall, and let's see what sticks. And I kind of like the idea of it sticking as this familiar warping trickster. Like, that vibe feels really cool. And
I like it if it just comes down to your familiar it's buffing somebody, nerfing somebody, or teleporting and moving things around, which is the 3 main gimmicks. And I think that's really dope. I like that.
I just remember what this reminded me of. Daji and Smite. Here we go. Now, I mean, Smite borrows stuff from League of Legends all the time. League of Legends borrows stuff from Smite. There is a... Oh my god, it's even called Trickster Spirit. There is a movement thing that she has where she, like, teleports directly behind somebody. She clicks this on the enemy, and then whoosh, she's right behind you. Like, that's sick. I love that as, like, a unique idea for, like, a rogue or something. And, like, they really mastered, like, the vibe behind Daji in that. And I kind of get that vibe out of what I'm sensing throughout this class. I would love to see that really shine. Because, like I was saying, the Kitsune kind of vibe I'm kind of getting from this already feels like it's almost there. Like, I think that might have been the direction he was kind of going.
There is some clarifications I think that needs to happen about, because your spirit pet thing, whatever it's called, is normally taking the same space as something else, and then you're teleporting or swapping places with it. You need to clarify what's happening, because suddenly you're swapping into the space of something else.
Yeah. Or I mean, even not really a swap. The idea of, like, you're oh, you know what would be so fucking cool? Whenever you teleport, that creature is considered flanked against your attacks. Like, you just found a weak spot or something like that. I was trying to think of something that was, like, encouraging you to play that sort of, like, you know, I'm supposed to be slightly stealthy. This is like a magical sort of trickster vibe. I don't mind the idea of it getting spells. I do mind the idea of it getting spells, being called a spirit warrior, being called a frontliner, and the first frontline feature kicks on at 8th level. It's that combination all in all that makes me go, like, I'm not super sure. But yeah, there is like the hints of something here that I think is like, ooh, this could be super cool. This could be really fucking dope.
Yeah, they changed the theme to be a backliner and more about being like a shaman-y type thing, then the spell casting is fine. But if they're hoping that it's like you're trying to get in the front line, you're using the teleports to, like, get all in their business and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think some sort of other warrior thing instead of the spell casting is needed.
What if it was like, see, the thing that the direction I would take this is go midline, harasser, like midline, harasser, and oh, there is another iconic that you could list here. It's funny, I don't know why Smite's coming up so much on this. I haven't played Smite in like over a year. There we go. He's the drummer, Japanese god. Raijin. There we go. Raijin has a spirit familiar that he sends out when he fights. Boom. Yeah, so he sends out this little guy. Boom, and then he can later use another feature that allows him to teleport to whatever enemy that guy is on. Bam, like that. And
that's basically what this is.
Yeah. And I mean, Raijin's a mage. Like, that's very spellcastery, but again, it's like he's kind of a tank mage in a way. But yeah. Yeah, I could see you taking this in multiple different directions. I like the idea of sending the familiar out, and the familiar kind of acts as your conduit for other shit. Casting Bless or Ward on an ally, so you're getting additional spells that the familiar knows, but technically you don't. The familiar gains immune until it's... Yeah, some of the wording would need to kind of get a little bit more clarified and everything, but the most important thing of this is the concept. And I think the concept is cool. Like, that's the big deal, is if you don't have a cool concept, you don't have a class. And like, the fact that I'm excited about this and talking about it enough is to where I'm like, I'm excited about the idea that this inspires, you know? So yeah,
I think the complexity rating is accurate, but I'm for it. This is the exact type of class I would love to play. You can really delve into some tactics with this one and figure some shenanigans out.
Yeah, here you go. I wish that it rewarded those tactics more subtly, right? Like the way that Rogue does this very well in 5th edition. Whenever you have whenever a check is advantage. Holy shit! How am I blinking on that? Whenever you have an advantage on the attack roll and hit, it deals the extra damage. Therein, it's trying to tell you to figure out how to get advantage. Now, it doesn't give you a way that's just like guaranteed advantage. It's like, no, figure it out. I love that little puzzle, because that little puzzle is the thing that makes people go, I have to think tactically.
At least until Tasha's happened. Then you just get it.
Yeah, and then they were just like, don't worry, we're playing fucking 5e on easy mode these days. Fucking, here you go, Twilight Domain. Yeah. Would having other franchises, Overwatch, LoL, and the iconic Spirit Warriors be detrimental? It's like saying, if you like these characters, this is who you might like to play, but in character stats. I don't think so. I mean, the whole reason for the iconics is to give somebody who like doesn't know what this class is, to give them a solid basis in like a fiction that they know that would tell them how to play the class. Like this, I started doing this with my Vanguard because the name, I didn't want to name it a Sentinel because Sentinel was a feat in D&D, and that felt a little bit odd. And whenever I was proposing it, people didn't really know what I meant by a Vanguard. So then I started listing like who the iconic Vanguards were. So now whenever I'm like, really honestly, the most iconic Vanguard I can possibly think of is Reinhardt from Overwatch. Because like the way that people play Vanguard is you run in, you hit someone with a shield, and you drag them along until you crush their skeleton into a wall. Like that's supposed to be this class. And Reinhardt is like overwhelmingly the best example of that. Groot smashes stuff and makes shields. Havel is like this big, heavy armor dude with a giant shield, and he's not fast, but he'll just like fuck your shit up. Juggernaut is very much, I'm going to run you through a fucking wall. You know, like these guys are big on move people to hurt them. But Reinhardt was the big inspiration that made me go like, why can't I play that in D&D? That looks so goddamn cool. You've linked your Patreon account to Discord. How do you get access to the consultation queue? There should be a forum that is open in the exclusive group on the Discord, and that has the consultation submissions forum. Where do you send your homebrew classes? Here. Oh, why don't you have the role? There. It should open up for you now. What up, Galleypot? Yeah.
I gotta take off now because I have contractors coming first thing in the morning to rip my driveway apart.
Oh, right on. Well, thanks for popping in, kid.
But I hope the rest of the stream goes well, and I will check it out after.
Well, thanks, brother. We will be chatting soon.
Bye, everybody.
All right, later, kid. Now we have Solve, thank you. Awesome. Did you submit it? Okay. Now that was the last one from Hisky. And I'll kind of pause to see what we got going on that. Because I'll do a quick skim of this one, but 116 pages is way beyond the scope of what we're trying to cover on these. Let me see here. Did you... Should be able to see it. We're kind of... The stream's waiting on you, friend. Just 3 to 20. Well, yeah, that's still reading 18 pages on a live stream. It tends to be, for something like this, people are like trying to get some consult on like a class, right? Or like they're trying to get like usually 1 to 2 pages, because doing something like 18 pages is going to be a lot of the time. You know, it takes it away from other people as well. Give me a rundown on the base mechanics. Since it looks like he's still submitting. Alright, so this was a superhero celebrity game. Let me see here. So that's 5. It's powers under, okay. Okay, here. You said the basics start at 3? No, that is the table of contents. This is your game. Okay, basics. The game master makes up a fictional scene. Okay, so this is how to roleplay. Turns and actions: 1 main action, 1 move action. Okay, 1 quick action, perform an additional minor task, reaction. So this is 5e action economy. Free actions, yes. Okay, action types. 1 of the 9 action types. How well a character can perform an action is determined by their rank and the related action type on a scale of 1 to 10. When you describe an action, work with the GM to determine what action type fits best. Talents and skills. Okay, how you can add to actions. Describe how the talent helps you perform the action. Some actions are easier. Okay, so action types are like skills essentially, or they're like the attack action. Okay, agility, physical reflexes. Okay, avoid detection, move safely through hazards. Deduction, extra sense, perception, strength, tech, willpower, influence, magic. So this is kind of like a broad mix of both stats and skills, I think. Rolling dice. Okay, so it is a... Okay, Supergrind uses a pool. Uses a pool of 20-sided dice represented as a D. Or as D. The size of the pool is equal to the rank of the action type plus talent. If the die number is equal to or higher than the roll's difficulty class, it counts as a success. The total number of successes together. So it's a D20 dice pool game? Is there a reason why you wouldn't go with something like a D6 or a D8 or a D10 or a D... I mean, anything smaller than a 20? Maybe? Because it feels like the pool is equal to the rank. People have the funny rocks, roll a pile of them. What? Well, okay, so I'm curious about what the reason would be to make a D20 dice pool system rather than something that is typically sold in like a pool, like a D6 or a D10s or something. Because it feels like right now that DCs are set up here for something that would be like dice, like roll a die, add a modifier or something like that to hit the DC. Right? Like, modifiers increase or decrease the die pool, plus or minus D. Okay. Natural 20 adds plus 1 success, and natural 1 subtracts 1 success. Criticals cannot be rolled or changed. Okay. So a natural 20 counts as 2 successes. Okay, equal or above difficulty. Okay. So it's like a mix of 5e, I mean really any of the like basic expert derivatives, and I would say like 3.5 to 5e and year 0 engine. It feels like it's trying to kind of do both, because we have a set DC and the DC determines what the success is going to be, which works. It does work, but I think the thing you would be missing out on is how easy binary resolution is to understand for people, which is why a lot of people aim for a dice pool system for binary resolution. So you've kind of mixed like you've mixed this sort of success gradient with what is typically a binary resolution mechanic. Does that make sense? Or am I just like, am I totally out there right now? If I need to, if I'm not getting this point across well, I'll try to re-explain it or something. This is why you brought it to me. You wanted to hear my thoughts. Part of the strength of Year Zero engine is that you know pretty damn well if you succeeded, you're passing. Like the thing succeeded, right? This is the real strength of roll under systems as well. I know for a fact that if I roll at or below this number, I pass the check, right? So everything's really transparent. GM's not hiding any info. Players are going to know, like, hey, here's what I'm really good at, and they're most likely to lean in on those roles that they're really good at, right? That's a big deal right there. That's a huge strength for dice pool systems as well, because again, this is kind of general. There are dice pool systems that do lean in on gradient, or like a success gradient kind of an idea. Just as an example, Blades in the Dark. So like, I get it. Mixing the two like this, especially for like a D20 here, I mean, I do think that you could reduce the... I think you could reduce the die size to a D10. If you just like really want the D20 because you really like the D20, that's... You do you. For me personally, I like it when the math is just... Whenever I see the numbers in total, the number totals and everything, kind of squashed down a little bit. It reads cumbersome since the pool changes, the difficulty class changes, the D20 pool is just a little too obscure for me. I think that's a more eloquent way of kind of expressing what I'm trying to say. Like, it feels like two things of systems. It feels like trying to use the strengths of two systems, but not really getting a lot of the perk to both of them, to either of them, really. Because I don't think you're adding a modifier. You're just adding more dice to the pool, depending on the skill over here. Because, like, okay, that makes sense. After the result, rerolls. After the results, roll dice again, represented as a +/-R. A plus rerolls failures, and the minus rerolls successes, except new results. Okay, I get that. Taron hates when number goes burr. Taron wants number to go burr. Okay, talent roll. Roll a die pool with only the talents rank. Okay, if I saw like a talent rank on here, is there like an example character sheet? Or like... Hang on. D10s will give you a simple resolution while giving you a decent range for a gradient success system if you want. There is not in there. You have some you can add. Gotcha. Yeah, I would need to see, like... I would really want to see what a character sheet looks like so I can have a better sense of, like, what that means. Okay. Range and targets. Okay, you're going with the basics of target burst, target block. Okay. Just off your movement. Yeah, because a lot of this would be getting into a bit more... yeah, this is out of the scope of what we would typically do on a consult stream. I would... If I'm only going to focus on the core resolution mechanic, my biggest thought would be, I'm not sure why it's a D20 and not a D10. At the very least. Year Zero engine has been working extremely well for people. And if the idea is like, I kind of just want to use D20s because I like D20s, sure, Like, you can totally do that. It is... Whenever you go to manufacturing, if you were to go to manufacturing on something like this, that's going to get expensive. We chose D20 because my friend group likes D&D, and that nat 1/20, simple as that. Yeah, I mean, and that could be a reason why you guys stick to it. That could be a reason why you stick to it. Yeah, I tend to think that, like, whenever we're looking at something that can just give us a success or, like, determine a result, part of that to me is always, like, if I'm using a dice pool system, if a dice pool is determining a success, I need to know, like, pretty much straight up, like, I want to know what I need to roll on the dice in order to determine that success or failure. But mixing that in now with, we have the DC over here that determines what the dice has to roll over. You do have a working resolution mechanic. You do. However, the die rolls I'm now thinking are going to go kind of like this. Okay, so if I have a 5 in strength, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, here, let's just say I have a 4 in strength. And it's a DC 13. Well, that's a 9, 16. Okay, so I got a 20, so that's 2 successes. I got 3 successes on that. So I think that interaction might have taken 10 seconds. Something like that, right? Talents max at +3. Okay, so like 3d20s. So if it's like a DC 14. 9, 11. Okay, so 9, 11, and 19. Okay, so 2 successes on that. It just feels like the resolution mechanic and the actual, like, act of rolling the dice feels a little bit more cumbersome, right? Just, again, this is just kind of my read on it. I really like rolling one die, being able to, like, see a result. That's a 17. Boom. There we go. We resolve whether or not it's success or failure, right? In, like, a die pool system, like, let's say your 0 engine. All right, I'm looking for a 6. I got 1 success. Cool. All right, we're going, right? If this is on the VTT with dice rolls automated and you just roll 70-20 and then look for the results +1 or +11. Yeah, but, like, we're still talking about a VTT, right? Like, I don't think about VTT planning until we're ready to hit development on a VTT. I want to make sure when it hits the table, it's ready for table play. Like, I really like analog play to test things out, right? Yeah, I kind of... Wow, it looks like the camera is still kind of odd. Like, does the frame rate look weird to anybody else? It does not look smooth to me. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, I would say... I would try to time how long it takes to come up with a result, you know. I really like Year Zero for how quick and simple that is. Part of the reason I am not a huge fan of, like, I mean, more of the success gradient games is because it feels like it adds so much more time to every single check. There are multiple steps and states to consider when resolving a roll that will eat time and mental load. Yeah, that's kind of what I think. Like, I think the more and more that we put into, like, getting me the final outcome of success or failure starts to kind of detract from the quality of play, right? Like, it's really easy to understand. In 5e, all right, I'm going to roll this. 2 + 3, so 5. Okay. Well, in Vagabond, I know, like, if I have a 6 on my character sheet, I have to roll a 6 or above. 19. Cool. Pass it. And then we move on, right? It's not the GM is, like, coming up with the number that we need to hit in order to pass the thing. It's, you know, we're not adding any modifiers. I tried to, like, remove as much time from determining the outcome as possible, right? This is the strength of a dice pool system. But I think the moment that you start to introduce success gradient like this and the DCs and everything, it starts to bog it down. That being said, if you guys have fun with it, you guys have fun with it. You guys do you. That's just my personal preference, you know. If this is a thing that you've got working, you guys enjoy doing it, you do it to it. My personal thing would be trying to figure out how to start kind of reducing the amount of time any action takes. It's kind of my thought on that, or at least what I could kind of give you on this. But I mean, it's very clear you have good looking layout already on this. Okay, so there's a character sheet. Here, I'll bring it up over here. Why is this not... Will you open in browser? Open link? Here we go. Alright. By the way, somebody else was going to submit, and I don't see the submission anywhere. Did it not? Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, shit, you've already come up with, like, 2 classes for... Vagabond? What? Okay. Damn, dude. I might... let me hit the Runescribe on this. And we'll get back... We'll circle back around on it. On the other one, yeah. You have 6 classes and some spells? Holy shit. Wow, how are we just now seeing you around in the Discord? You can see how, again, that would be a factor when you play Rollmasters. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, whenever I was making Vagabond's dice system, I wanted it to be a very clear-cut boom, right? I wanted to know right off rip what I was walking into. Okay, let me see here. There's the character sheet. Okay, so talent bonus, blade work. Okay, blade work. Interesting. Okay, so this feels like it almost wants to be, just kind of looking at this right here. This, number one, the fact that you've already done Foundry Dev on this is, that's saying a lot. A lot. Thank you for giving it a look. I wanted to see critical eyes could get from it. Yeah, like, that's the thing, is like, if you guys have had it working and playing and everything, it may not be to my taste. That doesn't mean it won't be to other people's tastes, you know? Like, if this works for you guys, go for it. There are plenty of people who play Powered by the Apocalypse games, and I am just not a fan. You know, like, it's all good. Like, people love Powered by the Apocalypse and everything. I'm not going to make it my entire brand to go and shit on Powered by the Apocalypse or anything like that, right? Something may not be to my taste. I would rather have like a lot more quick resolution. If you guys like the way that this is playing for you, then keep doing like you're doing, you know? You posted what a city scale battle map looks like for this game? Whoa. So, I mean, that's the fun thing with doing these sort of like urban, like superhero games, is like, hey, I can just take a map of a city and put a grid on it, and now like we have the thing that we're gonna play in, you know, like that's cool. That's one of the things that I really liked about Vaesen, is like I can plop this into any city I want to. It doesn't just have to be like Scandinavia, and like it'll absolutely 100% make sense for that world, right? Like, yeah, that's a lot of fun with this genre. And it's something that like fantasy kind of has a hard time hitting. Although I will say, like, games where you can play in like your hometown, and like maybe there's a fantasy justification for why you're playing in that hometown, always seems like a thing to me that I'm like, oh, that could be so sick. That'd be a lot of fun. Also, one of your favorite fastest is Delta Green / Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, right. I dig it. I dig it a lot. One of my favorite props that I bought was an old like 1984 phone book that I was able to use as like my character like NPC generator. Just like flip through it. All right, so there's Sarah Beggs. All right, you guys meet Sarah Beggs, the owner of this shop, which is the auto parts store. She is currently covered in grease, has a wrench in one pocket, smoking a cigarette a little too close to a gas can, right? Like, I mean, doing something like that so quick is like, you can get into that genre so easy if you just kind of use the resources around you, right? Yeah, thanks for sending that in. I think, yeah, in the future it'd be cool to see, like, let's reduce it down. Let's see what we can achieve in like 150 or 1,500 words or something, right? Oh yeah, no, totally. Thanks for submitting it. I was a really fantastic layout you were already doing on it, and just Google Docs alone. Yeah. You've always liked dropping a game into Tulsa using Savage World or Vampire. My players know the local, so I don't have as much description to come up with. Yeah, it's like you guys are currently battling werewolves in Utica Square, where we saved the Golden Driller from a terrorist bombing or something like that. Yeah, like being able to actually root that into like a hometown and like refer to like landmarks and stuff super easily. Yeah, I had wanted to run a game in Salem using Vaesen, and wanted to run it, but I was like, I don't know Salem for dog shit. I was even looking at the maps like, yeah, I'd have to actually go there and like spend a week to like really understand this before I felt good running it here, you know. Now let's look over here at this Runescribe. Okay, and then I think I'm going to call that a stream. I think the world was written, sir. All words have enormous power. The masters of the visual arts, such as painting, calligraphy, etching, or metalworking, these artisans are able to breathe life and magic into their works. All right, so you have Amaterasu from Okami. Okay, Luz from Owl House. Okay, I get that one. Koichi Hirose from JoJo's Part 4. I don't think I made it that far. Miss Golden Week from One Piece. Okay, so I get these two a lot. You might also look for there's a Brandon Sanderson book called is it The Arithmetist? What was this one called? I'm pretty sure Arithmetist is all about this kind of magic. Yeah. Where it's more so, oh, you know who else you got that you totally missed out on? Oh, you've got a really funny one in your iconics you totally missed out on. Let me see if chat can guess it. Who am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of that uses drawings, etchings, maybe whatever, to like, let's say, travel to another dimension? There we go. Immediately. Yeah, Chalk Zone. The Runescribe is a squishy buffer mainly focused on... Yeah, Rudy to Booty. Yeah. I forgot that was his fucking name. It wasn't the iconics. Dude, so many people in like my generation are immediately going to be like, oh yeah, Rudy's got the chalk. Squishy buffer mainly focused on... I was wondering if that was actually going to be your quote up there. So the Runescribe is a squishy buffer mainly focused on supporting their allies with inscriptions and using rune spells for combat. Prepare and distribute your spells beforehand to provide the best support. All right. Well, I have as a personal Runescribe writer myself, I'm very curious to see what you got here. There was originally a Runekeeper for Vagabond that, boy, it really fucks some stuff up. And we pulled it about halfway through development because it was just like, I could either get this game done, yep, the cipher. I could either get this game done, or I could fuck with trying to make this thing work for the rest of this goddamn thing. Because what people were doing with it was they were using the glyph delivery to just make bombs everywhere. It was like, it became a thing of paranoia where people were like, I'm going to stay outside this door and put a bunch of glyphs all over rocks. And if someone comes out of here and they're going to be hostile, I'm just going to throw every fucking rock at them. And it was like, yeah, we got to reel that in. Okay, so Lexergy, you can cast spells using crafting. Okay, fun. You learn 4 spells. You learn 1 new spell every 2 Runescribe levels hereafter. Maximum mana. Okay, so we have a full caster here using crafting. You get the inscriber perk. You can inscribe up to 2 spells per hour spent inscribing. Ooh, is this an old version of Vagabond that you got? Wait, inscriber. Or I'm about to show my ass on a perk I haven't taken a look at in a second. New perk? Oh, okay. I was like, wait, holy shit. Okay, new perk. All right, new perk. What do we got? Inscriber perk. You can spend an hour inscribing 1 spell you know into a scroll or etched onto a piece of equipment. These spells are temporary and fade alongside the inscription within a day of being inscribed. You spend an amount of mana needed for the spell and all its effects. A given object can only have 1 inscription at a time. An inscription can be activated by an action by a character that holds or has equipped the inscribed object. Weapon inscriptions can be activated after successfully striking a foe. And shield inscriptions can be activated after successfully blocking a hit. The spell activates using the parameter set using the inscription process. Okay, it might be... parameters, I get what you're going for here. You might need to spell that out as like delivery and like damage effect, whatever, but I get what you're getting with that. The inscription fades after the spell ends. Okay. Okay. Oh god, okay, I thought this was going to keep going for a second. I was like, oh shit, how long is this? Jeweler, Painter, and Woodworker starting kits. I love seeing more people make starting packs like this. This is fun. This is one of those things that like, surprisingly, one of my favorite things to make for 5e was actually backgrounds. Backgrounds didn't really get enough love, especially in the homebrew scene. Like, backgrounds were just a weird place where you could stretch out for like narrative expression, and they kind of lost that with like, I think the primo time for backgrounds in like 5e homebrew was like right after Tasha's. At that point, it was like backgrounds have a lot of flexibility, and you can give them perks now, which felt pretty cool. We had like a pretty hard set mechanic that we could go, yes, or feats. You know what I mean. Fucking everybody here knows what I mean. So like, you could give them a feat as a part of the perk, and like everybody felt like, ooh, there's nice like mechanic weight in there, and there's equipment that I can like try to give you to really embody the idea of what this background is supposed to be. They require a little bit of like creativity to kind of make it really hit, you know. But like, I love it. You can inscribe it to 2 spells per hour spent inscribing. The amount of spells you can inscribe increases by 2 at 3rd level, and every 2 levels after that to a maximum of 10. Okay. I like the idea. I think glyph delivery was one of the ways that I was leaning in really hard in trying to make this kind of a thing happen, right? Hopefully PF3E Pathfinder can integrate backgrounds even more, mechanically speaking. I haven't really gone through 2E that much, and most of what I was looking at was just classes, so I'm not incredibly sure what all's kind of gone on with that. You never thought about how starting kits are Vagabond's equivalent to backgrounds? Hey, you got it. Yeah, I like the idea that like what Ben Milton did with Knave, where equipment was kind of describing your character more than your class, right? Because like they don't have classes over there. I like that idea. I liked it a lot more as like a background. So like kind of hitting a mix, like a middle ground between like OSR and 5e in that kind of sense, right? Once per round, by skipping your move, you can inscribe a spell on your equipment or that of a close ally. If not activated, the spell fades at the start of your next turn. Okay. Fade alongside within a day of being inscribed. So it's a quick, I can make that inscription, I can make that rune super fast, but you've got to use it. I like the idea. You might be able to reduce this down to a shift. Sorry, wow, a scene. Sorry. You might be able to reduce that down to a scene. especially if they're taking this as a perk. Because this is just like a mechanic to give you a movable glyph casting. Oh, hey. I would see how it works out in play, you know. Yeah. Now, sorry, I should have expressed this earlier. Whenever I have, and this is kind of my bad, I'm typically better about doing this. I'm going to make a copy of this because I forget too often that you guys can copy paste pictures into Google Docs. So that hasn't gone awry just yet, but I'm not ready for that day. No, you're fine. It was a good reminder to me. Okay. You can make your rune delivery spells occupy 10-foot square area. This increases to 50. Okay. So rune delivery spells. I think you added in another spell delivery. I think this might be a holdover from a previous version. Because you're inscribing it. And I think that making it a unique delivery was something over here. This should probably say glyph if you're sticking with like what Vagabond was doing. If this is like a brand new delivery, I'd be interested to see what was going on. But yeah, I think that you mean glyph right here. You meant to say glyph. Gotcha. Yeah, wasn't there a time that we just shared a Google Doc where we wrote a subclass without communication? Yeah, that was that was a time where I thought it would be a fun idea to have a drinking stream and do that. And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's just go, hog out and see what happens here. It was a beautiful stream. I was so happy to be in here and everything. At the end of it, posting it to the Unearthed Arcana subreddit and seeing it get massively upvoted, like really randomly, and seeing all the people on Unearthed Arcana that were just like, what the fuck? That was so worth it. You regain 1 mana whenever one of your inscriptions or rune delivery spells is activated. Okay. I would probably try to push that in the realm of a discount on glyph delivery. Just personal thought there. Because if you're allowing them to regain the mana, I think that this is a mechanic that gets me a little bit worried about any potential future proofing. I always get concerned about stuff like this because this makes me think that people are going to immediately see it and try to go, all right, how do I fuck with this? Whereas if it's a discount, they're less likely to do that. And discounts tend to be less of an issue about regaining a resource that could be used for other things, right? Magic Reignition, when you or one of your allies activates one of your inscriptions, roll a d6. If the result is a 6, the inscription is not spent and can be activated once more. Ooh. That's very good. You have a, what is it, 12.75? 12.5? What's the calculator? Give me a calculator. 1 divided by 6? No, 16.66666 repeating. So the reason why that would be very, very good, let's say that you decided you wanted to spend, let's say 40 mana. Let's say you go crazy with this, right? Well, that's an insane amount of damage. That's fucking crazy. Here at 10th level, this is, let's say, average damage, okay? So 140 on just the average damage, that you have a 16.66. I mean, this damage scaling is already pretty fucking crazy, and you should only be able to do that once. That is a 10th level character blowing everything into one big Nova, right? That is supposed to be like the ultimate actualization of power in this game. Boom, right? And that's just damage. And if they're able to reignite that even once, that's fucking crazy strong. I don't really like, personally, I don't personally like chance as a balancing measure. Especially not in something that can be this absurdly good. Yeah, see, even if it's a D8, we're still only barely decreasing by like maybe 4%. We go to a D10, we're just at 10%. We go to a D12. Well, at that point, it's basically like, why even really have this feature? Because now this is like activating about as often as a crit. And in that case, though, it's still better than a crit. I mean, even if you're only spending 20 mana, and this even works once, you know, like, this is one of those things where, like, this is simultaneously too strong to be in the game, and too weak to feel useful. One of the things I'm kind of seeing here, if you moved up mana recycling, okay, here, I'll even throw this one out there. Eyes of the Runekeeper. You give them a little bit of like role play in here. You can read any writing, regardless of the language it was written in, and can understand all spoken word. Even that of animals or something. Yeah, Eyes of the Runekeeper equals Odin. Yeah. You can reuse one inscription with less than 10 mana. Well, so that's going really whole hog into just its combat identity. I still like to give them a little bit of like fun, something that feels like that would be useful in like not just in a combat context, right? Exploding dice can be very swingy. Yeah. Possibly have it increase the effectiveness of the spell, either extra damage or duration of the effect. Might be. But yeah, you've gone in really hard on the identity of this as like a bit of a, you know, magical academic or crafter. And you have that, but it kind of stops after first level being that, you know? I get why this is here. This is yeah, that makes sense. I do actually like this idea. I think that this can work. I do think that this can work. I think that it probably needs the discount right here. If you move that discount away, well, I like it at 6 because Glyph is a pretty weak delivery. It's really cool, but it's a weak one because it's relying on another condition being met in order for that to trigger. You can understand all written languages and you can understand all spoken languages. It's something like that, right? Like, I mean, it's even fun to be like, you can understand all written languages. Yeah, you can read all writing. There you go. You can read all writing and speak to any being and understand them in return. No. You can read all writing and understand the speech of all beings, even those typically incapable of speech. Something like that, you know. Yeah, rune equals script equals writing, yeah, or magic writing. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the thought there. I like the ideas that are in here. I think that the capstone probably won't really make it into the final version. I do see this as an upgrade. I think that this makes sense as something that's more necessary to their playstyle. But I think you might be able to move this up to like 6th level. And then it upgrades at 10th. But I think if you did the discount, you could do like the discount here. And then I don't know if you could do like a 2 mana discount on spells you cast as glyphs at instead of magic recognition, but that would be very good. Because like that's just a freebie damage, that's freebie extra effect. Like that's still really good. Something with coded messages could be fun. And that's a thing where it's like that all depends on how often the DM is really throwing that out there in the campaign, you know. But yeah, I like this a lot. I like what you're doing with this. I would really like to see where this kind of goes after the feedback I've given you here. Hematophagus rune. You've inscribed a permanent spell rune in your body. Choose a spell you know. You can't remove this spell from your known spells. You can cast a spell using hit points instead of mana. Oof. Okay, you're trying to do the blood magic thing. Here's the deal. This can't work. Because what if they inscribe life on themselves? Now they're just able to like spam out hit points like crazy. And they can use it on themselves. Right? So this one can't exist. Unless you look at what I did to Sorcerer. Here, this is 100% like I would not have been able to come up with this if it weren't for Ross writing his Odic. Funny enough, I guess it's going full circle now. Yeah, this idea came from Ross Lizer. Further, when you cast, you can reduce your max hit points to regain mana. So this is the big deal right here. You have to reduce maximum hit points. If you reduce maximum hit points and they try to heal, well, there's a cap, right? You were trying to go for the sorcerer. Yeah, the thing is, like, you've got to reduce maximum hit points. You can't reduce hit points because then they're going to try to loop that, right? They're going to just try to, like, make this an infinite mana kind of a thing, you know? If you do the maximum hit point reduction, I think you might be able to get away with that. Reducing maximum hit points to cast a spell. You could do that. It is only that spell, whereas Sorcerer is getting a bigger diversity of spells they can do this with. And they're regaining mana equal to twice the reduction instead. What about lose half your health? To do what? you lose half your health to get mana? I mean, either way, if you're using like any kind of if you are using any kind of hit points, if it's current hit points that can be healed back up through magic, you can't let it refresh mana. That's probably something I should write in like these are the sacred rules of Vagabond class creation, maybe. I'll come up with like a Vagabond no-no list. Like, you don't do these and you won't break the game. Like, just something like that. Yeah. Like the Simpsons no-no list, you know. Now, corrected in the document you sent. Let me see here. There we go. Hey, there we go. And the spell. You can cast the spell by reducing your maximum hit points instead of mana. You could cast the spell by reducing your maximum hit points. Oh god, I'm trying to think of like what wording you would need to do with that. So you can use something like a henna tattoo to cast a glyph on a living being with this. Yeah, something like that, right? I think like everybody understands the like narrative ideas behind what the class concept would be. The thing is, like, mechanically it's like, oh, these are rough ones. I've tried, I think the Runekeeper I wrote for 5e is solid. I tried writing 2 different ones for Vagabond and I just couldn't nail it. I got to a point where I was like, I could either obsessively keep working on this one or I could move on to other stuff. And we kind of had to can it, you know. But with that, everybody, hey, thank you everybody who submitted. Thank you for all your support. If you want to get your stuff discussed, see a consult on here, all that stuff, you're feeling like you'd like a little bit of advice, feeling a little bit lost in your project, if you go to support on Patreon or here on YouTube, you can submit. We do these once a month. We are trying to stay consistent with that moving forward. Now that we're on a once a month schedule, I think it makes people submit, like they have a bit more run up to all that. So I hope I like the relic that you included as well. Okay, I'll take a look at that real quick. Or wait, I've closed it out. I'll let you know over in the Discord, okay? All that being said, if you want to see your stuff, kind of get the consult and everything, you're feeling like you want to know what's up, you support over on Patreon or YouTube members over here. You'll get the role in the Discord. Hey, what up, Krieg? You show up right at the end again. Damn. Well, thanks for popping in, dude. Yeah, if you support by one of those ways, get your stuff on here, and hope that it helped out everybody tonight. And anyways, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you to all the sponsors for helping to make all this stuff possible. Everybody, have a great night, and I will see you all very, very soon.